Feeding is one of the most important parts of poultry farming. As poultry farmers, you will realize that feeding will take up most of your profit, most of the money you make out of the business. When you're starting on the poultry farming business, you can decide to start with chicks, or you can decide to start with already grown birds. If you decide to start with chicks, it will also depend on their ages. For day-old chicks, you can decide to start using chick starter. This is exactly what it sounds like. For usually the first 6 weeks of the baby chicks, this usually contains 22 to 24 protein percentage because they need the energy. Some of these layers, some of the commercial feeds contain, some of them are medicated and some are not medicated. So it is you to choose. The best ones are usually the medicated ones. This will help you to reduce the diseases that can attack your flock at some point. From the chick starter, you can go to the grower pellets. The grower pellets, these are the young pellets. These are destined for the laying flock, and are put on lower protein diet to slow the growth and allow them to become strong, and allow them so that their bones can also become strong and able to support them. After this, you can turn to the pellet developer or the finisher. At 14 weeks, young pellets can be lowered to a 16% protein until the point where they begin laying. After this, you can go to the layers. And if you are purely going commercial, you can choose either of the commercial feeds to turn to the layers mash or the layer pellets, depending on what you can afford as a farmer. I will take you through some of the things that are needed in the feeds of the chicken, so that in a situation where you have to make your own feeds, you do not miss out one or two things, so that your birds do not end up weak or unable to lay well for you. First of all, you will need high protein diet for the feeds. Especially for the grown mature birds, you will need a high protein diet. You will need the corn. You will need the field peas. This is to add on protein into the feeds. You will need the wheat. You can as well use wheat or oats. There are some few things you can add on to your feeds that you will be creating. This will include, you can fill them on fish meal. Fish meal is a good substitute for calcium. Your birds need calcium for them to be very strong. Alternatively, even if you're buying commercial feeds, usually encourage farmers, because some commercial feeds do not have calcium in them. You will realize when your birds are laying, the eggs are very, very weak. The yolks are very weak. The outer part of the egg is very weak. Or some of your birds will start becoming weak and weaker. With this, you simply need to add calcium to their diet, and they will start becoming stronger. You can add some little salt. You can add crab milk. This small amounts to provide proteins and minerals. You can add flax seeds, which is omega-3, and feed the whole to avoid laxity. You can add fish meal, as I had stated earlier before, or cultured yeast. Cultured yeast contains vitamins B, it contains minerals and digestive enzymes. For us, when the birds are young, we also go to bakeries. You can visit your nearest bakery or your nearest bread company, buy the breadcrumb, or get the remains from the bread remains from the bakeries and feed them to your birds. They will give your birds good energy, especially the young chicks. If you'd like your chicks to learn to eat something, at Keystone, we usually give them even fruits from the local markets. We feed them on fruits. This keeps them very strong. At week 3, if you need your birds to learn to eat something, when they get to 3 weeks of age, when you want them to learn to eat something, try to introduce this to them. Sometimes you even get them skuma wiki from the local market and we hang it for them. This is good for them because it will also keep them busy. Now, sometimes the kind of fruits that we can feed them on, we can give them watermelon. They like watermelon a lot. The birds will really enjoy watermelon. You can give them pawpaw. They like pawpaw, and the pawpaw seeds can also be used for medicinal value, like treatment of diseases, some diseases. Whatever the birds might not be getting, especially if you're not rearing your birds on free range, whatever the birds might not be getting from the feeds, they will get them from the additions that you'll be putting for them in their feeds. As a farmer, you're sometimes wondering, can I let my birds eat bugs? Can I let my birds eat worms? Is it safe for them? Is it safe for my birds to eat maggots? Yes. As you can see, most of the people who rear the birds on free range, birds sometimes can eat worms. Alternatively, what you can do if your free range area does not have grass, what you can do is you can help them in getting the worms. You can buy sawdust, as we had shown you earlier. You can buy sawdust, pour the sawdust in the free range area, use the EM1 and the worms will develop. So your birds, yes, they can eat bugs, they can eat worms and any seeds they can find. Now, chickens also eat earthworms, insects and slugs of all kinds. To sum up, bugs, worms, seeds, weeds and grasses and even rodents. You will realize that if you allow your birds to feed on free range, you will also be cutting the cost of production for your feeds. We usually encourage farmers that you need to know the amount of food that your birds need to eat. We usually encourage farmers to get the weighing scale so that you do not overfeed your birds and you do not underfeed your birds. For us at Keystone Poultry Farm, we supplement the commercial feeds that we get a little bit of that and we supplement it. We buy sunflower seed cake, we buy wheat bran, we buy cotton seed cake, we buy bread from the bakeries, and sometimes we get to the bread company and they give us the residues for the breads. We then come and store our feeds in the tank you see here. The tank is black in color, so it helps whenever the sun is so hot, it helps to keep the food warm. We keep our food in the tank here. It helps to keep the food warm. We have a mixer here. Whenever we buy food, we place the food in here. Then we mix it inside the tank here. When we have fish meal, when we have bought different types of foods, fish meal, cotton seed cake, sunflower, we bring it here and we mix it in this tank here using this big shovel, and then we keep it here in the sun so that the food can be warm enough so that by the time we are feeding our birds, warm food will help in boosting the egg production. Remember, you must always weigh the amount of feeds that you give your birds so that you do not overfeed them and you do not underfeed them, because this will also determine how well they will be laying for you. Where you store your feeds is very, very important. The reason we store our feed here, and the reason you see this, the reason we cover this, is because your feeds should always remain dry 24/7. And if you leave this open, it will attract rats. They will come to eat it. So it needs to be covered, it needs to be secured. Also, we're covering this to avoid whenever it rains, the rain doesn't get to the feeds, or we don't put them on the floor so that whenever somebody is doing some cleaning, water doesn't get to the feeds. They will form molds. Molds are very dangerous for your birds. They will affect their production, they will affect their health. So you need to keep your foods very, very dry. That is why you see we have covered this and we have kept this away from the chicken coop, and it is not accessible by any outside maybe rats or anything that may be attracted by the chicken feed. I'm going to show you how to cut the cost of production by making your own feeds. I'm going to tell you also about alternative feeds that you can use. What you see in front of me, this is wheatgrass. We grow our own wheatgrass. If you have 1 kg of wheat, you can use wheat, fodder, you can use oats. And if you have 1 kg of this, after 6 days, you can have 7 kilograms of this. Into growing your own wheatgrass is, first of all, you need to construct this, a shade, because too much sunlight will make them very dry and they will not be able to grow. So as you can see, what we have here is just a small shade. This is very easy to construct. You just need a little amount of wood, and this is to prevent the predators from getting in, maybe birds or something, or maybe the chicken themselves from getting in and eating the wheatgrass before it is all grown. And this is to cover the upper part. Alternatively, if you do not have this, you can as well hang this from your house, from a section of your house, a section of your roof, where it will be under the shade for most part of the sunlight. Then you can use a simple tray. This is just a normal tray with pores underneath it. This will enable the water to flow down. And if you can look at our shade, it's sort of like has a stair from some sort of stairs platform, because if you water the upper ones, the water will not go to waste. It will also water the ones on the lower level. And we have put this around, as I've explained earlier on. This will help to keep out the birds from eating the wheatgrass before they're ready. I will proceed to explain to you how to do this. If you have 1 kg of wheatgrass, in just 7 days, you can grow up to 7 kilograms of wheat fodder for your birds, and the wheat fodder is very nutritious for your birds. You will take 1 cup of this. You will take one. You can use wheat, you can use fodder, or you can use oats. This is the normal full-grown wheat from the market. You will soak this, and the water level must be above the soaked wheat. The water level must be above the soaked wheat, and you have to soak this for 24 hours. For 24 hours, this must be soaked underwater, and immediately after 24 hours, you will realize that the wheat has started sprouting. You will see some whiteness, some roots are coming out. And you will then take it after that and place it on the trays that you have. And remember, this should have pores beneath it so that the water can flow. If the water remains on the tray itself, it will start forming mold, and mold is not good for your birds. You make sure that the seeds are half an inch in height in the tray. Don't put more, don't put less. In each tray, it has to be half an inch high. Now, depending on the weather in your area, you can water this once or twice in a day, but we mostly advise farmers to water the wheat in 2 times in a day. This is the results that we will have of this after 7 days. It will have sprouted full. You do not use soil. Please just note that you only put it on the tray and water it, no adding any chemicals, because chemicals can be dangerous for your birds. So after 7 days, this is what, if you have 1 kilo in 7 days, you will have 7 kilos. This is what you will have. It will have fully sprouted. The birds themselves will eat everything. They will eat the roots, because it will have formed roots under. They will eat the seeds themselves, and they will eat the grass. So this is very healthy for your birds. Another thing I have to mention, always watch out for molds. If in case you have been watering more than necessary and the weather is very humid, then it will form molds. Do not feed this to your birds if it has already formed molds. Molds are not good for your birds. It will cause infection, and it will lower the production of your chicken. So that is how you grow wheatgrass in your you can use wheat from your local market, you can use oats, and you can also use peas, but we advise farmers use whatever you can get. The main aim of this is to cut the cost of production. So use whatever you can get at an affordable price. Now that you know how to grow the wheatgrass, how do you feed your birds? Once in a day, you can take, depending on the number of birds that you have, for 100 birds, depending on the size of the tray you have, for 100 birds, you can give them 5 of this every morning. You can give them around 2 to 5, depending on the number of birds you have in your chicken coop. But we advise you can, depending on your size of tray, you can give them this 5 of them. For our birds, we have around 200, and we give them around 10 of this every morning in in the chicken coop. You just hang it for them and they will eat it themselves, and they will clear everything. Especially for those who do not grow their birds on free range area, we encourage you to do this. We encourage you to grow wheat grass for your birds. It is very good, and it will reduce cases of cannibalism in your chicken coop. We also have EM1. You can make your own feeds also. The sodas that you use in your chicken coop, you can also turn it to feeds. You can use the chemical EN1 that you see in front of me. You can use this to accelerate the decomposition of the sawdust in your chicken coop, and then it will form maggots. Maggots are very nutritious for your birds, and it will also strengthen the immune system, making them very strong. Thus they can also not become sick more often, or even if at some instance one bird gets sick, the other birds will be very strong. They will not get attract the disease. Thus, this will cut the cost that you'll be using in treating your birds.
The process is called organic decomposition of litter. You just buy this, you mix 400 ml of this in 20 liters of water, then you spray on the floor. You spray in their free range area, or rather their semi-free range area, this way, once every week, and this will cause formation of maggots. So once the birds are done eating the food that you feed them, they will scratch and they will feed on the maggots. EM1 is also important. You can use it for purifying water, you can use it for water purification, you can use it to remove bad smell, you can use it to make manure, and EM1 can also be used in their drinking water as it boosts their fertility. So once you've sprayed your EM1 in the free range area like this, you just give it 1 week, and once every week you do this, so there will be that circle. There will always be maggots to feed on. So once you release your birds, they'll scratch and feed on the maggots.
I'm going to explain to you about the use of ginger, garlic, and some other. This is lemon, and this is pepper. You can use this. You can take one of this. It comes in pieces. You can take one of this. You can mix it also with one of this, and you can also cut on one piece of lemon. Mix the 3 of them into 5 liters of water, and you can give this to, depending on the number of birds you have. 5 liters of water can serve up to 50 birds. So depending on the number of birds that you have, you can mix each one of this into water and give them once or twice a week. This helps in strengthening the immune system of the birds, all of them actually. Alternatively, you can also add this. Aloe vera is very good natural antibiotic. So after mixing with this, you can also blend this and mix it for the birds in the water. For the grown birds, you can hang it for the grown birds. If you want your flock of your birds to learn eating something, at week 3, you will start introducing this to them. When they're 3 weeks old, for the 3 weeks old, you will blend it for them and they will get used to eating it. This is the result of, this was a very big piece of it. This will be the results for the grown birds. You just hang it for them, and if you see they're not eating, you sprinkle some water around it, and you will see that they will start eating it, and this will keep your birds very healthy, and it will keep a lot of diseases away. This will help you in the cost of treating your birds also, and there are some diseases for the birds that when one bird is sick in the morning, in the afternoon you will find around 40. If you maintain the use of the aloe vera, the pepper, the garlic, if you maintain the use of this once or twice every week, you will note that in a case where only one bird is sick, by the afternoon the other birds are strong enough, they will not have contracted the disease. And that is why we are always advised that you have a sick by your side. In case you notice any sick bird, put the bird aside. And I also forgot to state that the wheatgrass can be also used for medicinal value, because you yourself, you can also use this. You can actually blend this very early in the morning. I sometimes eat this. You can blend this very early every day in the morning and take it as a drink. It will boost your immune system. You will remain very strong.